We've all seen those creepy movies that involve either humans or animals being used in evil experiments that aren't exactly following any moral codes. There are movies like The Human Centipede that make you really question whoever came up with the premise for a movie because it is so weird and odd. Well, this list is going to be 11 horror movies that involve some kind of evil experimentation, whether voluntary or not, that would probably freak you the heck out if you were involved in. There won't be any spoilers in this video, so if you are intrigued by one of the movies, go give it a watch. I will put the timestamps for every movie in the description below, and will also list any streaming services the movies are offered on if they are. With that being said, here we go. Number 11. High Life. 2018. In this 2018 A24 thriller movie that takes place in deep space outside the solar system, Monty, played by James Patterson, and his daughter Willow live together aboard a spacecraft, in complete isolation in interstellar space. A man whose strict self-discipline is a shield against his greatest desires, Monty fathered her against his will. His sperm was used to impregnate the young woman who gave birth to her. They were members of a crew of prisoners who were also death row inmates back home. Guinea pigs sent on a mission as they were not needed on Earth any longer. Now only Monty and Willow remain out of everyone aboard the spaceship. Through his daughter, he experiences the birth of an all-powerful love he's never felt before. Together, the father and daughter approach their destination, the black hole in which time and space cease to exist. Will Monty be able to save him and his daughter before they get stretched out by the black hole? Number 10. Flatliners. 2017. Obviously, by the title of this movie, it's pretty obvious that we are going to be dealing with life and death situations along with near-death experiences. A medical student, Courtney, is obsessed with the idea of the afterlife, wanting to find out what happens after death, as we all probably would like to know before we die. She invites fellow students Jamie and Sophia to join her in an experiment, in an unused hospital room using defibrillation to stop her heart for 60 seconds while recording her brain activity, and then reviving her before she is permanently gone. She assures them they would not be held responsible for any accidents that may happen to her. Sophia is against this, but Jamie does it anyway. After 60 seconds, they panic as they are unable to revive her, but eventually manage to with the help of fellow student Ray. Later, Marlo, a rival of Ray, arrives and learns of the experiment. But then all of the students that have gone through the revival begin to experience ghosts and other paranormal encounters with the afterlife, and Courtney starts to believe that she brought something or someone back with her. Number 9. Splice. 2009. When a pair of brilliant scientists, Clive Nicoli and Elsa Cast, are scientists of the Newstead Pharmaceutics researching the splice of DNA from different animals to form new genetic beings and find medical benefits to mankind. They have just created the hybrid Ginger and Fred, and now they intend to join together human DNA to alter the genetic structure of their experiment, creating an animal-human hybrid. When the senior management calls off their experiment, they decide to secretly proceed and they generate a life form with human characteristics. They call it Dren, and Elsa is very fond of their creation that grows up fast and shows unbelievable intelligence. When the company shuts down their experiment, they bring Dren to Elsa's abandoned farm and the scientists raise Dren like a daughter. But when it reaches adulthood, the sex drive of Dren is activated and Clive and Elsa learn that they have a serious problem to resolve, or humans may not be the most dominant species on the planet anymore. Number 8. The Belko Experiment. 2016. Belko Industries is a non-profit organization that aims at staffing and seeking employment for any major clients that they get. One day, Mike Milch arrives at work just like he would any other day, but is confused whenever they have many guards with guns at the entrance of the parking garage. Mike goes inside where he greets all of his coworkers as he would as normal, but then all of a sudden, a voice comes on the intercom telling everyone in the building that they have to kill 40 people in the next 30 minutes or double the amount will die. They don't take it seriously at first, but then workers start to get picked off one by an exploding chip that was planted in their back of their head whenever they went through orientation. All of the employees turn on each other, with some turning into complete madmen, and then others trying to save their coworkers. There will only be X amount of employees left at the end of the workday, and are we even certain that they will actually get to live after going through such a traumatic experience? Who is putting on this experiment, and why are they doing so? Number 7. The Lazarus Effect. 2015. Medical researchers Frank and his fiancée, Zoe, have developed a serum, codenamed Lazarus. It was intended to assist coma patients, but is shown to actually be able to bring the dead back to life. With the assistance of their friends, Nico, Clay, and Eva, they run a successful trial on a recently deceased dog that was a pet of Clay's. However, they notice that the dog is behaving differently than it did when it was alive. Its cataracts disappear, it loses its appetite, and it demonstrates other strange abilities that the dog never had before. Tests reveal that the serum, instead of disappearing, is constructing strange new synapses within the dog's brain. When the dean of their university learns of their underground experiments, their project is shut down immediately. They are also informed that a major pharmaceutical corporation has bought out the company that funded their research. The company and their attorneys confiscate everything associated with the project, but will soon find out the dangers that lurk behind this wild experiment. Number 6. Tell Me How I Die. 2016. The unemployed waitress Anna joins a group of college students in the isolated facility of the Halloran Laboratory to participate in the research of Dr. Jerams and raise some money. Dr. Jerams explains that only half of them will be injected with the drug and the other half will be injected with harmless placebo. Anna befriends Den, Kristen and Marcus, and soon Marcus and Kristen are affected by an unexpected side effect and have the ability to see the future that no one else is experiencing. Anna is also affected and discovers that she can see the other youngsters dying, and Dr. Jerams locks her in a room to be studied. Meanwhile, a stranger breaks in the facility, and there is bloodshed all throughout the building, and Anna can do nothing but look on. Den, Marcus, Kristen, and Scratch try to flee, but Den wants to save Anna before they leave, as he is starting to care for her and develop a crush. Who might be the killer, and what is his or her motive, and is related to the crazy experiments that are being conducted? Number 5. Raw. 2016. Justine, raised as a rigorous vegetarian, arrives as a freshman at the reputable Saint-Exupéry Veterinary School. But after leaving her sheltered home, Justine abruptly moves into a mad new world of strange school traditions and vicious initiation tests for the sorority she wants to join. And before long, she must chew over her unshakable herbivorous beliefs, and part of her hazing is that she must eat meat, but meat of a human, not of an animal. As Justine descends deeper and deeper into the sickening realm of uncharted animalistic tendencies, an unprecedented and equally morbid craving for meat will transform her into something entirely different. Once Justine gets that first taste of human flesh, she won't be able to stop, and a nightmare is about to be released inside of her. But now that Justine's devilish awakening is finally complete, is there a point in denying her hunger for warm, raw flesh? Number 4. Tusk. 2014. In this twisted horror comedy, a self-obsessed podcaster finds himself the unwitting subject of a demented man's grotesque experiment, as he is surgically transformed into a monstrous walrus-human hybrid that is absolutely disgusting to look at. It really gives me human centipede vibes at first, but I know that it's not on that bad of a level once you think about it. As his friends race to find and rescue him from his kidnapper, the podcaster must come to terms with his hideous new form and confront the deranged captor who holds his life in his hands. A bizarre and unsettling exploration of the boundaries between man and beast, this darkly humorous film serves as a savage critique of our human obsession with body modification and the darker aspects of our fascination with the animal kingdom. What would you do if one day you woke up from a trance and you were a hideous walrus? Yeah, I don't even want to think about that happening to me. Number 3. Double Blind. 2023. The film opens with a young woman named Claire arriving at a Blackwood pharmaceutical facility, looking a touch distraught and descending into a windowless underground test lab where she will be participating in a 5-day, double-blind drug trial alongside 6 other 20-something volunteers. The group will be on site throughout the duration of the trial, sleeping, eating, and living in the underground dorm, unable to leave until complete. They're introduced to the physician conducting the trial, given their first dose, and move on to a group meal where they casually banter. After the experimental drug trial goes awry, the test subjects that didn't have the placebo face a terrifying side effect: if you fall asleep, you die. Trapped in an isolated facility, panic ensues as they try to escape and somehow stay awake. The other half that took the placebo do not know which one they took, so the descent into madness for both groups is quite an interesting premise to watch. Number 2. Come True. 2020. High school student Sarah is at her lowest point of her life when she runs away from home and finds herself with no one to rely on, and struggling with recurring nightmares every time she falls asleep. She chances upon a university sleep study that offers the promise of safety and money which she desperately needs at the moment, and which also brings her an unexpected friend and confidant in the overseeing scientist Jeremy, who she develops feelings for. But there's something curious about the sleep study, and being under observation seems to make Sarah's disturbing dreams even worse than they were before. As the darkness begins to close in, it's soon clear that Sarah has unknowingly become the conduit to a horrifying new discovery, and she may not be able to pull herself out from underneath it. Number 1. Black Box. 2020. Nolan Wright is just your normal, everyday middle-class man until one day, he and his wife are in a tragic car accident, and sadly his wife dies, but Nolan lives. But in result of the car crash, Nolan has lost most of his memory and suffers from a severe case of amnesia. It is just him and his daughter Ava now, but since Nolan doesn't remember everything about who he is, Ava has to help him do basic tasks every single day, and she is pretty much all he really has in his life now. Looking for a treatment to help with his amnesia, he meets with a neurologist named Dr. Brooks, and she tells Nolan that she thinks he would be the perfect candidate for her black box treatment, which hasn't exactly been approved by the medical field, so they have to do it under the books. Nolan agrees to the treatment, but after he gets done with it, he starts seeing weird faces and monsters in his everyday life and also memories that don't seem to be his own, but someone else's. But on a positive side, Nolan is starting to remember his own life now and memories, but he still is puzzled why he has someone else's memories, and he is determined to get to the bottom of it. Well, that is it for this one. Any other crazy experiment horror movies out there? Thanks for watching.